Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and very good evening to you guys. Okay, again, selamat datang to my class. This is ADS510 International Relations, and today we're gonna start on our first topic, which is an introduction. Kita akan melihat lah, we wanted to look about what is IR is all about, and for this week, I'm gonna starting to explain about the basic first, the basic things first, our course, what is the introductions of international relations, and then next week we're gonna start discussing about the history, Cold War, post Cold War, then gonna focus on that. Okay, we have 13 weeks to go, and we have around 11 slide, so I might say that maybe every week we're gonna present one slide lah, and then we make it easy and relaxing, not more stress on the full fit info, and I wanted you guys really understand about this topic. Okay, so let's start our first slide, which is the introductions to international relations. Okay, so we have 13 subtopic in 13 weeks to go, and the required textbook is Constance Joshua, the international relations. You can get it from bookstores, or I will share to you the soft copy, easier for you to get to read it. Okay, I will post it in Microsoft team. Okay, so all of you can get from there. Okay, we're gonna use this book as our main textbook lah, and reference book. Okay, Gonstein Joshua and House. Okay, so this is our topic for the semester: introduction, development, theories, actor. For this week, we're gonna touch on introduction itself, and then next week we're gonna focus on the development of IR, and then the next following week, theories of IR, continue actor, international security policy, and then international conflict organizations, IPE, IL diplomacy, and also the last will be the issue in IR. Okay, so this is more or less of our syllabus lah. So this is the evaluations. I already elaborated on our first video, which is the guideline. Okay, again, we have midterm 10%. So assignments and presentations will be 30%. And the rest final was 60%. Okay, what is IR? So international relations. So IR is a study of the state system. So it's like a relationship. Okay. So for example, okay, you yourself, every person, every human has friends. They have to make relationships. For example, you yourself also have your own chosen friends, right? So you have friends, a lot of friends, right? For example, more than 10 friends, but you do not treat your friends the same as you treat other friends same. For example, okay, you have groups that you actually wanted to say that they are your best friends, okay, BFF. Maybe the BFF will be your closest friends, right? And then you have friends that is class friends, the just friends. It means that These friends and your BFF are different, right? You don't treat them equally, right? Because BFF, you more treat them because they are more closer to you. But your friends, other friends, or your study friends, you just treat them as a normal friends. So, in when regards to the state relationship, when I say state, it means country. Okay, I already elaborate on the first video. So in IR class, we usually call the country state. We always call it state. Okay, so when we refer back to the state, every state has their own type of relationships. Okay, for example, Malaysia. Malaysia has history more with Singapore rather than with Indonesia. Because of what? Because Singapore used to be part of Malaysia before. So our relationship with Singapore and Indonesia are far different. Okay, and again, Malaysia and Indonesia came from the same Islamic state, or we call it Islamic ideology state. And then, although Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia we shares the same border, right? But yet we are connected with the borderline, okay, the territorial border. But when it regards on our foreign policy or foreign relations, our relations between Thailand and Indonesia are different. Because of what? Because of we are more connected to Indonesia rather than Thailand. Okay, same goes to Singapore because we are more connected to Singapore because of our history part rather than other states, so we are more closer to them. So how do we look? Okay, this relationship process. How do we look? The state relationship process is on the foreign policies matter. For example, our foreign policy towards in Singapore are different because of the history. Right, we are more closer, so we have more fragile policy with Singapore. Right, acceptance policy. For example, water policy lah. Although we supply water to Singapore, but yet we buy it 50 cents more 100% more expensive rather than we supply, right? So that's the policy that I mentioned. And then when it regards to Indonesia foreign policy, for example, every year we affected a lot of pollution by Indonesia, for example, haze policy. But still, every year we give our helpful, we help them to recovery the open burning, you know so we don't tend to make fight to them. So that's what I say about our foreign policy. So our foreign policy reflects on the each and every state that reflect on us also. For example, we Malaysians, we adopt the policies that we are not gonna make any contact with Israel state, and then it reflects within our foreign policy, right? For example, our foreign policy, we have stated clearly that we don't have and we don't want to make any connection with the Israel state. So it reflects back on our foreign policy. So that is what we call the relationship lah process. Okay, so this is what I call the relationship in international, you know. So it also plays, in every relationship. Dia ada apa yang kita panggil emosi, right? Emotions. So in the state also they have emotions on the state. So this is what we call international relation. However, in current development, IR, international relation, has shifted to a study of global politics, inclusive of other actors such as international organization, NGO, MNC and IGO. Okey, dalam sistem antarabangsa ni, kita ada yang kita panggil actor lah, pelakon. Okay, we have our own actor. For example, dalam konteks IR, kita ada apa yang kita panggil sebagai state actor. For example, just now I already mentioned about state policy, state tu, negara tu sendirilah. State tu adalah sebagai state actor, negara actor. So paling utama dalam mana-mana lah in IR, the very important thing is the state. Okay, yang kita panggil sebagai state actor, pelakon yang paling utama lah. Kan, for example, if in movie, tu pelakon utama hero lah, state. Okay, and then we have another one that actually include and also fulfill the relationship in international, which is what we call as non-state actor. Benda-benda yang bukan daripada negara. Itu yang kita panggil sebagai non-state actor. Apa tu non-state actor? Okay, non-state actor ni selain daripada state lah. Okay, state actor is state. Okay, non-state actor itulah yang dipanggil sebagai IO, international organization. We have NGO, non-governmental organization, right? A lot of governmental organization that play a vital role and vital part in the international relation. For example, Greenpeace, for example, Red Cross, right? So this is NGO lah. Yang in Malaysia we have Malaysian Peace, play a vital role in connecting and also shaping the international relation. And another one we have MNC. MNC means multinational company that has a franchise throughout the world. Okay, why MNC is important? Because MNC can actually, play with the rules and regulation in every state that they operate. For example, KFC, McDonald's, a lot of MNCs, right? Petronas, Shell. So they operate in every state. They have their own branches in the world. So when they open their operations in a certain state, they might actually involved in making policy, and then they might interfere with other state policy. So that's why we also categorize MNC as a part of non-state actor. Okay, another one we have INGO. INGO is a internet government organization lah. For example, we have United Nations, we have ASEAN, we have NAM, we have OPEC. So they play a vital role, the regionalism also play a vital role in shaping and also make it IR more relevant today's. Okay. So next, the state system is the system of social relations. That is system relation, for example, political, between groups of human. Okay. And there are certain advantage and also disadvantage for their participant. Okay, for example, MNC, IGO, MNC ni they have advantage of this. For example, weak and strong lah. How strong you can bring and fulfill in terms of in the IR itself. How weak you are, for example, if you a small state, okay, when you wanted to represent in IR, become dominant, it's very hard, but when you become in organization, for example, IGO lah kan, you take for example the ASEAN, Brunei, represent ASEAN, okay, so you can see the strongest part that can help Brunei itself in international arena. Okay, so that's what it calibrate between the IGO, the non-state actor and also state actor. Okay, to discover the fact that the entire populations of the world living is independent state, interdependently. Okay, so in IR, when when you study IR, you have to know that they have a lot of theory, right? So a lot of theory. So some state feels that international arena ni ataupun international konteks, dalam konteks international ni, they don't have any rules undang-undang ataupun dipanggil sebagai anarki lah. Kalau you tengok teori, we gonna enter on our week 4, on our chapter 4, which is the theory. So masa tu kita akan tengok lah, okay, dalam konteks teori lah, ada the two biggest theory, which is the realism and idealism. So their view of thinking and view of act in the IR are far different. Okay, for example, the realism state ataupun the realism theory feels that they always believe that in IR, in international relation, they don't have any orang kata undang-undang lah, ataupun dia panggil anarchy system dalam konteks international regime. Tu yang dia panggil international regime tu. Because of what? Because of they don't believe in United Nations, because they say that United Nations is an imperialism. Okay, just tendencies to American itself. So they don't. So that's why they always do their best to become absolute power in international relation. For example, you can just see most of realist state lah. Kalau macam boleh tengok lah sekarang ni. Contoh macam China, okay, North Korea, right? So lot of troublemaker state kita panggil kan. So dia tak kisah ada UN ke tak ada UN ke, they always believe that dia buat suka hati dia. Okay, another one is the idealist believer. So idealist believer ni dia akan menganggap lah bahawasanya dalam international relation ni dia ada undang-undang yang dikawal oleh United Nations. Okay, so United Nations tu very important lah to them. So anything that happen in international arena, so they always believe in negotiation and also the arbitration, okay, being led by the UN. For example, ada pertikaian, ada masalah, bawa bincang, kita ada Security Council dekat UN kan. So if cannot settle in Security Council, kita ada undang-undang kan, kita ada International ICJ, mahkamah kan, yang boleh membantu untuk menyelesaikan masalah. So we have two system lah. Okay, two way how do we view this international system. Okay, the next to identify how international relation affect the international community. Kita pun nak tengoklah bagaimana hubungan antarabangsa ni boleh effect dari sudut community lah, international community antara bangsa ni lah. Sebagai contoh, isu konflik kan, peranan kerajaan tu sendiri, perang, war. So what actually war leads to the international peace? We wanted to look at that. Also, conflict, why conflict happen, right? Okay, so distinguish, evaluate the role and various actor. Kita pun akan melihat banyak actor juga kan, kita ada banyak actor. So kita tengok this actor ni, is it apa yang dia buat dalam IR. And then last kali kita nak melihat lah mission foreign policy lah. So kita nak tengok past, current and future lah of our policy and also international policy that will help us to bring back apa yang kita nak tengok lah dari segi polisi-polisi negara yang membantu atau tidak lah. Okay, so next, the definitions of state. Okay, bila kita bercakap pasal IR, when we talk in terms of IR, the very prominent actor would be the state, right? State adalah actor yang sangat utama. So what is state? Okay, what is state? So the definition of state, kita ada ni lah. Okay, yang pertama sekali, sebuah negara tu perlu ada government ataupun kita panggil kerajaan yang sah. Dan bila ada kerajaan tu barulah boleh dipanggil sebagai negara. Yang kedua, tangible, which is the territorial. Kena ada sempadan ataupun kita panggil wilayah. You have your border. Kalau tak ada border, macam mana nak panggil negara? And then next will be population, people. And the last, yang paling penting ni adalah sovereignty lah. Jadi yang paling penting lah dalam dunia. Mana-mana negara, although you have three things that above, but if you don't have the sovereignty, it means that you are not a state yet. Sovereignty ni adalah macam mana nak dapat apabila negara-negara lain, other state, justify you as a sovereign state. Bila negara-negara luar tu justify you sebagai sebuah negara yang sah, then only you are capable to become the state. For example, isu yang berlaku, for example right now, melibatkan Israel and Palestine, you know. So Israel and Palestine, they have government, they have territory, they have population, but yet they wanted to get sovereignty. So that's why Israel minta tolong negara-negara Arab to recognize them as a state, right? Itu sebenarnya. And also because of this, when we not recognize Israel as a sovereign state, kan Malaysia tak recognize. So that's why we call them regime, you know. Sebab regime ni maksudnya bukan negara lah. We call them regime. For example, if you look at the news kan, most of every news in Malaysia, they always stated that regime Israel. They not call it the government of Israel, right? Because of we don't recognize them as a sovereign state. Okay. State is a variable institution. They provide security, freedom, order, justice, and welfare to the people. So people benefit from the state system. So it's a core institution in IR. Okay, so di negara-negara lah. So they have a lot of state in the world. So divided by the continent. We have Asian continent, we have African continent, we have Middle East, we have Europe. Okay, so it actually complement lah every state that in the world map. Okay, what about stateless? Okay, stateless means different with refugees. Okay, stateless means the people that don't have state. Okay, for example, negara yang orang yang tak ada stateless ni, it means that they don't have state, you know. They being panggil pelarian. Okay, so stateless. And for example, the refugees means they have state, but yet their origin state have affected war or conflict, so they have to move out from the state. That's what we call refugees. Okay, for example, Rohingya, mana lagi? Okay, the Syrian people. Okay, so bila they move out, so they're being brought out by the UNHCR, United High Commission of Refugees. So they can move out throughout any state in the world, being granted by the United Nations, so they can live there. Itu yang kita panggil refugees. Okay, not imigran. Imigran tu lain. Imigran tu pendatang tanpa izin. Tu lain. Tu memang menyeludup masuk. Tu beza. Okay, alternative view. State and state system create more problem than they solve. Yalah. For example, war. Who creating the war? Siapa yang create war? Negara kan? For example, American, USSR, they created war. So that's why more problem. Conflict, who created conflict? So the majority of the world people suffer more than their benefit from the state system. So it is set up for the elite, rich majority. So they are marginalization against the poor, women and also minorities. Okay, ni yang saya kata tadi. Ada refugees people, Okay. So state system. So state system has a historical institution, state-centric approach we call it. So it remains as a central institution of the world. So they have 5 fundamental human values. Yang kita panggil sebuah negara ni perlu ada, pertama security lah. Okay, keselamatan, power politics, you manage your own conflict and prohibit war. Second, kena ada freedom. Okay, dalam sebuah negara ni rakyat dia kena freedom, ada cooperation, peace, progress. So the third, they must have rules, okay, interests and rules and institutions, what we call as order and justice. Number 4, kita panggil apa? Welfare. Kena menjaga kebajikan masyarakat, wealth, poverty and also equality, the well-being of the people. Itu semua memang peranan kerajaan lah. Okay. Freedom. So ada 5 lah. Okay. Pertama kita panggil security, freedom, second, and then the third will be order, and the fourth will be justice, and then the last will be welfare. Okay. Tapi selalunya these two semua selalunya dia gabung. Okay. Selama dia ada 5 order and justice ataupun order or justice. Order 1, justice 1. Okay. So we have 5 lah. Okay, security, national security. When there's an aggressive state, some state enter alliance. Okay, for example, NATO kan. Apa ni, feel insecure, you become alliance, you become more powerful. Okay, to increase their national security. So security approach is one of the fundamental value in IR. So this is focusing on realist perspective. Kalau kita bercakap tentang perang, security, national interest, national security, all these things reflects to realist theory. Okay, freedom. State is expected to uphold freedom, personal and also national. So citizen cannot be free unless the country is free. Okay. So war threaten freedom, peaceful foster freedom. Peace also lead to progressive development, okay, to become a liberal state. And then state should cooperate with each other to maintain peace and freedom to pursue progress. Okay, order and justice, okay, said are common interest in maintaining international order, cohesive interact or stability, certainly and predictability. So expected to uphold international law. So they have treaty, rules, convention, customs, and also expected to follow accept practice of diplomacy and support international organization. So explain human rights framework, approach of international society, theories of IR. State are socially responsible actor and have common interest in preserving international order and also promoting justice. The last will be welfare lah, kena jaga kebajikan. So economy is very important. So state have to take care of their well-being, high employment, low inflation, and also investment. So state need to respond in international economic environment to enhance or maintain national standard of living. Okay. So nanti kita akan masuklah chapter 8 IPE approach. Okay. So this is the historical development. Okay, kalau and you just need to know lah. Okay, and then we have state and empire. Okay, start with state, start with empire. Dulu kita ada empire Roman. Okay, Roman Greek, Roman Empire. Kita ada Greek cities kan, Greece now, medieval Christian world. So this is what we call Western history lah. And then it become. And then evolution become more evolution, and then historic empires come. Kita ada Muslim Empire, Genghis Khan, Ottoman Emperor kan, Chinese, and then Indian. And then after that we have the historical development, okay, historical endpoint of medieval era and starting of the modern international system. Okay, this is what we call the international relation process begin, you know. The 30 perang 30 tahun lah. This is the first war lah. Okay, 30 years war. and then the Westphalia. Okay, and then inilah yang perang 30 tahun ni yang menghasilkan Treaty of Westphalia. So ini merupakan treaty yang pertama lah kat dunia on a modern international system. And also after that, several major attempts by different powers to impose their political hegemony. So after 1648 ni banyaklah krisis kan. Kita ada French Revolution kan, kita ada Austria 13 War, and then French Revolution. Okay, from 61, 1714, and then kita ada Dutch Alliance, and then Napoleon pula tu, right? This one you can just Google. Kalau you tak nak Google, macam malas nak baca, you tekan History Channel, you tekan Napoleon War, French Revolution, you just tekan, you boleh tengok. Okay, semua tu ada kat situ. If you're lazy to read, then watch. Okay, semua ada. And then blocked by the British Prussia, and then led to the First World War. Okay, and then First World War, then led to the Second World War, and then Cold War, and then now lah. Okay, post Cold War period. Okay, this is First World War. Post Napoleon balance of power tu. Okay, tu among the great power, the concerns of Europe. Okay, and then the Second World War start after Hitler attempt 1939 to start the war, and then blocked by the US, Soviet Union, Britain. And then for 350 years, the Europe state system managed to resist the main political tendency, the strong to conquer the weaker power, and now sole remaining power after Cold War is US. Okay, it become the global hegemony. Okay, lepas Perang Dunia Kedua 1945, and then in 1946 kita ada perang juga yang kita panggil sebagai the Cold War. Okay, perang dingin US-USSR. Until 1990s, then when USSR collapse, the Soviet Union collapse, and then US become the main lah, ataupun kita panggil unilateral hegemony ataupun unipolar sebagai kuasa besar dunia. Okay, Western state not be able to dominate each other, entered competition to penetrate and control other parts of the world. So huge non-European territory fell under the control of European state. Bila itulah yang dia menghasilkan European Union. Okay, this is the info. Bolehlah kalau nak buat discussion ke apa. Okay, so the main factor tutorial. Okay, so thank you so much for today, for this week. Okay, so our lecture sebenarnya mula setiap minggu lah. Setiap minggu saya akan post satu. So you akan masa banyak lah daripada Monday sampai Jumaat tu boleh buka dan boleh melihat view, dan jangan lupa isi attendance, very penting. Okay. Okay, so some quotes from Socrates. One thing only I know, and that is I know nothing. Okay, so itu je lah. So nanti for the next week kita akan fokus kepada Cold War lah, perang dingin. Okay, kita akan fokus pada perang dingin. Okay, so I think that's all from now. And see you in the next meeting, in the next video. So terima kasih semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.